coronavirus explodes in numbers across America.
How historically bad these unemployment numbers are.
The protests against police brutality across the country.
The 2020 presidential race.
This is a very polarized country, hostile political environment.
In times as challenging as these, I believe there's only one way forward. As a united America, united in our dream of a better future for us and for our children. This is our moment, this is our mission, and we'll do it together.
From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. It's going to be only America first. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. We will not fail. Our country will thrive and prosper again. This moment is your moment. It belongs to you.
We are live from the EP Official Studios. Good evening and welcome to Election Night in America 2020. This race was truly historic from the start, and tonight we will witness the finish. We have never had such unprecedented circumstances surrounding a presidential election cycle. Former Vice President Joe Biden announced his candidacy in late April of 2019, and following a Democratic primary season unlike any other, it wasn't until early June of this year that he became the presumptive Democratic nominee for the presidency. Joe Biden has led in polling averages since his nomination by an extensive margin over the incumbent president, Donald Trump. But despite both candidates sidelined for weeks at times due to the coronavirus pandemic, fundraising has been off the charts throughout this cycle. This was also the most digital and social media focused election in American history. With among countless other events, both parties' national conventions were mostly conducted virtually, and the presidential debates left much to be desired by all accounts, but there were less undecided voters going into October than in any election in recent memory. Roughly 75 million ballots have already been cast by mail and in early voting nationwide, setting us on track for record high voter turnout. Considering all the extraordinary happenings of this year, it is also easy to forget that President Donald Trump is the first impeached president in U.S. history running for re-election. As of October of 2020, his job approval numbers are the lowest in recorded history as well. In any normal election, this would suggest that an incumbent's chances of winning re-election are practically non-existent. But this is the year 2020, and the incumbent is Donald J. Trump, so no outcome could possibly go unexpected. With that being said, though, the official exit polls are now in, so let's go over to our EP studios. The 2020 exit polls were conducted in a manner unlike they have ever been. We at EP Official have spent countless hours poring over data and various estimates to present to you the most accurate sample of 2020 voters casting their ballots by mail, early, and today on Election Day. The first piece of data we have is party identification, where registered Democrats make up 36% of the estimated electorate in this cycle, followed by Republicans and Independents tied at 32% each. When compared to 2016 exit polls, this is a 1% increase among Independents and a 1% decrease among registered Republicans. Earlier this year, nationwide, registered Independents outnumbered registered Republicans for the very first time. However, this 4-point edge for Democrats could be very significant, especially if Trump's 4-point lead among Independents from 4 years ago tightens by any amount. And up next, voters were asked about the direction of the country, and 68% said they believed we are on the wrong track, while 26% believe we are heading in the right direction. This is a 6% increase among wrong track voters compared to 2016, but it is not at all surprising considering everything going on in the country at this moment in time. And moving on, we have favorability ratings for both candidates, starting with President Donald Trump, whose disapproval has dropped 5% from 2016, but it is still very high, at 55% compared to 42% approval. It is certainly worth noting, though, that he managed to win 2016's election with a 60% disapproval rating. Moving on to former Vice President Joe Biden, 48% of voters find the Democratic nominee unfavorable and 47% find him favorable. While this still leads to a net unfavorability, it is 11 points lower than Hillary Clinton in 2016, who was notoriously disapproved of. This could certainly help Joe Biden with third-party voters who could not stomach voting for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. Our final piece of data is the most important issues for voters in this race and how Democrats and Republicans differ on the issues. With 32% of voters identifying the economy as always, it is the most pressing issue of this election. But Republicans and Democrats see a sharp divide on this issue, as Democratic voters have identified the COVID-19 pandemic and healthcare, the second and third most important issues overall, to be more important in their vote than the economy, while Republicans, not so much. Moving down the list, though, the 4th, 5th, and 6th ranked issues are the Supreme Court of the United States, law and order, and race relations in this country. While Democrats and Republicans are pretty split on the Supreme Court, Republicans identify law and order as more important than racial relations, while Democrats the opposite. If anything, this is further evidence of how polarized our political climate has become, and the results of this election seem certain to further that divide. However, we are now counting down the minutes before the first poll closing of this election cycle and the first results of the 2020 presidential election. Over an entire year of campaigning on both sides has come down to the next couple hours, but it all starts at 7 p.m. with the first poll closing.
The journey of hope is not yet finished, but we are on our way. And the cause of change is not fully accomplished, but we are on our way.
No matter how hard they try to stop us, they can't.
We built the greatest economy the world has ever seen, and we're going to do it again.
For the values that define us, for the ideals that inspire us, there is only one choice.
And we will make America great again.
Tens of millions of voters have been casting their ballots for weeks now, by mail, early, and today, as you look at live footage here from a polling location in Atlanta, Georgia, a key battleground state tonight, where polls are just about to close. The Trump campaign has said they must desperately hold on to Georgia tonight for their chances to reach 270 electoral votes. Meanwhile, Joe Biden will be counting on Virginia, another key state closing its polls at this hour, to solidify his campaign's efforts for high voter turnout across the country. Our first results are already starting to come in at the bottom of your screen, and there is a feeling of nervous excitement radiating around the air. But stand by now because we have our first calls of the evening. And we have our first projections of the night. Donald Trump, we project, will win in Indiana with its 11 electoral votes. Trump is the projected winner in Indiana, his vice president's home state. President Donald Trump also wins in the state of Kentucky. He will carry its 8 electoral votes. Kentucky goes to the president. We also have a projection at this time for Joe Biden. We project he is the winner in Vermont. 3 electoral votes in Vermont will go to Joe Biden in his primary opponent, Bernie Sanders' home state. And we've got a key race alert coming in right now. Too close to call in the state of Georgia with its 16 electoral votes, but 61% of the vote is already in, and Donald Trump leads Joe Biden by 125,000 votes. Georgia is one of the few battleground states that counts mail and early votes upon receipt, so a large sum of this vote that you see right now was cast before Election Day. However, the incumbent president's near 5-point lead right now is a very good sign for how competitive this race is to become nationwide. The race in South Carolina is also too early to call. Only 4% of the vote is in statewide right now, and Donald Trump leads by a little over 20,000 votes. It is still very early in South Carolina, a historically Republican state. Virginia is too close to call as well, but the numbers we have so far all come from the early voting process in the state, where Democrats held a significant edge. And Joe Biden has a 320,000 vote lead as of right now. A 10 or more point victory in Virginia is what the Biden campaign is anticipating based off of polling data. Anything below, they said, could spell trouble. But let's take a look at where the Electoral College count now looks, the vote, and where it stands right now. President Trump has taken a very early lead with 19 electoral votes. Joe Biden has 3. Remember, 270 is the magic number needed to win the presidency, but the red states are states we have already called for President Trump, and the blue states have been called for the former vice president, Joe Biden. States in yellow are too early or too close to call, and states in gray are yet to have their polls close. It is going to be a tense and very long night from here, but the one state to really keep an eye on right now is Georgia, where polls have had the two candidates neck and neck this entire cycle. Donald Trump won by just 5 percentage points in 2016, and the state has not voted for a Democrat since Bill Clinton in 1992. So needless to say, a win for Biden in Georgia would point towards a national landslide. We are counting down the seconds to the 7:30 poll closings in 3 states: Ohio, North Carolina, and West Virginia. No Republican candidate and only 2 Democrats have won the presidency without Ohio, but the state is only really crucial for the incumbent's path to victory. North Carolina, on the other hand, is arguably more important for both candidates in their paths to victory. Let's start with an EP projection in West Virginia. Donald Trump will carry the state and its 5 electoral votes. He won in West Virginia by a larger margin than in any other state in 2016, but we have a key race alert coming in right now. It is too close to call in the state of Ohio. The Trump campaign has admitted they see no path to victory without winning this crucial Rust Belt state, but with 37% of the vote in, again, this is mostly early and mail-in vote, Joe Biden has a little over a 1-point lead. After trailing for a while, Trump took back the lead in Ohio's polling average in the final weeks before tonight, and a margin this tight early on is a very good sign for his chances in the state. The state of North Carolina is also too close to call, but Biden's got a wider margin of lead here with 63% of the estimated vote in. Depending on how close it ends up being, election officials in North Carolina have said they are confident in getting a call much faster than anticipated because of how many people voted early, in person, and through mail. Almost all of what is coming in right now is from that early vote, hence Biden's near 4% advantage. Expect this one and other races as we move on tonight to tighten as today's vote starts to get factored in with the early vote. Let's take another look though at the map and vote count. 5 electoral votes from West Virginia raised Trump's total to 24, while Biden remains at 3. Virginia and Georgia remain too close to call, but they are now joined by Ohio and North Carolina. 270, again, is the number needed to clinch the presidency, but why don't we take a look at another map brought to you by EP Official, and there is a lot of data to unpack here. First of all, the light blue indicates states Joe Biden is expected to win comfortably, and the light red indicates states Donald Trump should win tonight. Also, the electoral count has been updated to reflect the results of those states, as you can see with Biden now holding 209 electoral votes to Trump's 125. The different shades of green that you see have been reserved for battlegrounds only and show you when each began or will begin counting mail, early, and absentee ballots. The state of Georgia is joined by Arizona and Nevada in counting ballots upon receipt, while Texas, Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Iowa, Michigan, and New Hampshire all began counting ballots at different times before election night. And then Wisconsin and Pennsylvania are the two states that can only begin counting ballots as polls close in the state. We can use this data to forecast when we are likely to have enough vote in for a projection. It's looking like we should be able to make calls in almost every state outside of Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and maybe Michigan at some point tonight, which could spell trouble for the Biden campaign, as he is counting on those three states to be the ones that push him over 270. Keep in mind that this is purely speculative though, and nothing mentioned here is a guarantee. We are getting ready for 16 new state poll closings plus the District of Columbia. 172 electoral votes are up for grabs, almost a third of the 538 electoral votes available nationwide. All polling stations will be closing in these states here at the top of the hour, 8 p.m., including arguably the two biggest prizes of the evening, Florida and Pennsylvania. 29 electoral votes are at stake in Florida, a must-win for the president. And there are 20 crucial electoral votes at stake in Pennsylvania that the Biden campaign has thrown everything behind. Let's make some projections right now. And take a look at all of these wins we can call for Joe Biden. He wins in Connecticut, 7 electoral votes in Connecticut, which goes blue for the 8th straight presidential election. Biden is also the projected winner in his home state of Delaware. 3 electoral votes. He was a U.S. Senator representing Delaware for 36 years before his vice presidential nomination. And in the District of Columbia, another 3 electoral votes will go to Joe Biden. No surprise whatsoever here. Let's move on to Illinois. 20 electoral votes going to Biden in Illinois. He is the projected winner there. Biden is the projected winner in the state of Maryland as well. 10 electoral votes going to the former vice president in Maryland. In Massachusetts, another 11 electoral votes we project will go to Biden, no surprise again. And in New Jersey, 14 electoral votes are at stake. Biden is the projected winner. He will win in the state of New Jersey. Finally, in Rhode Island, 4 electoral votes. We project Biden will carry them in the state of Rhode Island. He is the projected winner there. President Donald Trump also has some projected wins. In Alabama, 9 electoral votes we project will be carried by Trump in Alabama. Then in Mississippi, President Trump is the projected winner here as well. He wins 6 electoral votes in the deep red southern state of Mississippi. In Oklahoma, we project the incumbent is the winner again. 7 electoral votes will go to the incumbent President Donald Trump out of Oklahoma. Lastly, President Trump is the projected winner in the state of Tennessee. No surprises in any of these races. The president will carry the state's 7 electoral votes, but we have a key race alert coming in right now. It is too close to call in Florida. Almost 70% of the vote was cast early in Florida, and Joe Biden has a 260,000 vote lead. He leads President Trump in his adopted home state by 3.7 points as of right now from the early vote. A little over 7 million ballots were cast early and by mail in Florida, a record-shattering number that was expected to favor Biden due to early Democratic turnout. Ultimately, only time will tell whether that lead is enough for the Democrat to overcome the Republican surge in today's voting. But all signs are pointing towards an incredibly close race here. It is also too early to call statewide in Maine. Joe Biden leads by 38,000 votes right now, with roughly a quarter of the estimated vote in. The real race to watch here is Maine's 2nd congressional district, where Trump became the first Republican to carry its 1 electoral vote since 1988. It is also too early to call in the state of Missouri, where polling showed a surprisingly competitive race all cycle long, but the Trump campaign is very confident that they will win by large margins here. He is up by 9 points with a third of the vote share in so far. The state of New Hampshire is too close to call. 17% of the vote is in there, and Biden leads by 17 percentage points. 4 electoral votes are at stake Hillary Clinton won in New Hampshire by the lowest margin of any state in 2016. Then, of course, the state of Pennsylvania. It is also too close to call here. The vote is expected to come in a lot slower here than in other states, and only 2% of today's in-person vote is in from Western Pennsylvania, and Trump leads by over 10 points from that more rural and conservative vote. It is going to be a very long time before we can make a confident projection in Pennsylvania, but we will keep you updated all night long. But let us take a look at how the race to 270 has updated. We have no projections in a lot of states, but Joe Biden has taken an electoral vote lead for the first time all night. He holds 75 electoral votes to President Trump's 57. The polls are still open in many key states, and we have a long way to go. But looking at the United States popular vote, over 30 million votes have already been reported, and this will give us an indication throughout the night of how accurate the national polls were in relation to the actual results. Remember, back in 2016, polls had Hillary Clinton leading Donald Trump by 3 points nationwide, and she won the popular vote by 2 points. Polling data this time around has had Joe Biden leading the president by around 7 to 8 points, but that number was trending downward going into tonight. As of right now, Biden's 5-point lead is propped up by the early vote, but also keep in mind that the big Democratic states of California and New York have not reported any results thus far. Election forecasters have said time and time again that President Trump has a relatively plausible chance at winning the Electoral College if Biden's national lead is below 5 points. So we will make sure to keep you updated with that as well. We have now arrived at our 8:30 p.m. poll closing, where the state of Arkansas will be closing polls statewide, but we have a few different EP projections to make right now. In Arkansas, President Donald Trump is the projected winner. He will carry its 6 electoral votes. We can also call a win for Trump in Missouri. Missouri was too early to call as polls closed, but Trump is now projected to win the state's 10 electoral votes. The same goes for South Carolina, where we can now project that Donald Trump will carry the state's 9 electoral votes. South Carolina and Missouri were 2 states where Trump was polling significantly lower than his 2016 results, and taking a look at the updated electoral map and vote count, President Donald Trump has retaken the lead over Joe Biden with 82 electoral votes to the former vice president's 75. The blue states represent states we project that Biden has already won, and the red states we project Trump has won. And we are keeping our eye on a lot of these yellow states where the races are still too early or too close to call. But we've got a key race alert coming in right now. Taking a look at the state of Ohio once again, Donald Trump has taken a 45,000 vote lead. 72% of the vote is now reporting, and Trump's path to victory in the crucial Rust Belt state is starting to form how his campaign anticipated it to. It is still very, very close, but for Joe Biden to have had any path to victory in Ohio, his campaign will have been counting on a larger margin of lead in, among others, Montgomery County. It's the 5th largest county in terms of population in Ohio, and Obama won here by 5 points in 2008 and 3 in 2012, before Trump carried it by less than a point in 2016. Currently, Joe Biden's lead is holding steady at half a percentage point, with over 90% of the vote in as of right now. And let's take another look at the state of North Carolina as well, where Biden has maintained his lead, although it has shrunk to just 1.5 points. 77% of the estimated vote count is in, but we should expect that most of what is left will come from ballots cast today, which should favor Trump. But whether that'll be enough to overcome his 55,000 vote deficit remains to be seen. Noticeably, the only counties that are yet to report any results whatsoever are more rural and historically Republican counties that tend to report results later than the urban Democratic areas of the state. And we are getting word from GOP officials that they are increasingly optimistic of their chances in North Carolina based on their internal election day turnout data. Again though, a common theme of tonight is the question, are there enough votes left outstanding for the president? "14 different states are about to report their results, including 3 battlegrounds: Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin. The state of Texas is also closing their election day polling stations as well. Nearly 9 million people have already voted there, an incredible number, and Democrats have teased their chances at flipping Texas's 38 electoral votes, which would effectively guarantee that Joe Biden wins the presidency, but most experts remain skeptical. We've got some calls to make though, right now. Alright, starting in the state of Kansas, Donald Trump is the projected winner. He will carry 6 electoral votes out of Kansas. He is also the projected winner in Nebraska, where he will carry 4 of 5 electoral votes. The 2nd district in Nebraska remains too close to call. Remember, Donald Trump only won that district by 2 points in 2016, and Joe Biden has pulled ahead there in district-wide polls. As for North Dakota, we project that Trump will carry its 3 electoral votes, and we project that he will carry 3 electoral votes in South Dakota. President Trump is also the projected winner in Wyoming. We also have a couple projections to make for Joe Biden. The first is New Mexico, which was considered a swing state in 2016, but we project that Joe Biden is the winner in New Mexico. As polls close, he will carry the state's 5 electoral votes. Joe Biden is also projected to win in New York, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump's home state in 2016, the Big Blue Empire State, and its 29 electoral votes have been called for the former vice president, and now we have a key race alert. Arizona is too close to call. A Democrat has not won here since Bill Clinton in 1996, but it shifted 6 points to the Democratic column between 2012 and 2016. Rapidly changing socio-demographics have opened up all kinds of new possibilities for Democratic candidates statewide in Arizona, which holds a key 11 electoral votes, and the Joe Biden campaign is very optimistic of their chances going into tonight. 41% of the vote is in. Again, most of this is early ballots, and Joe Biden has an 84,000 vote edge. It is also too close to call right now in the state of Colorado. 9 electoral votes are at stake, although Trump's shot at flipping the state is close to 0. 56% is in here, and Biden leads by over 200,000 votes. The state of Michigan is also too close to call. A key state in Biden's path to 270, 16 electoral votes in Michigan went to Trump by 0.2% in 2016. 20% of the vote is in, and Biden leads by 76,000 votes and by 8 percentage points as well. But Michigan is expected to be one of the slower states in counting votes, along with its Rust Belt counterparts, one of which is the state of Minnesota, where election officials have said that they actually expect to make a call relatively quickly. But as of right now, only 39% of the vote count is in, and it is too close to call. Joe Biden is ahead of Trump by over 200,000 votes. His lead from the early vote is surprisingly higher here, thus far, than in Colorado, although the Trump campaign has spent more resources this cycle than they did in 2016 in Minnesota, when they lost by just 1.5 percentage points. One more Rust Belt state with 10 electoral votes, Wisconsin, is also too close to call. Donald Trump sent shockwaves throughout the Democratic Party when he won here by 0.7% in 2016. However, Joe Biden has led consistently by 5 to 10 points throughout this cycle. Wisconsin, along with Pennsylvania, though, are the only 2 battlegrounds legally mandated to open ballots only after polls close, and hence only 8% of the vote is in. President Trump actually leads by 14,000 from that vote as of right now, which is all in person so far, and there is a long way to go with the vote count in Wisconsin before we can actually make a call. Finally, the Lone Star State, Texas, is also too close to call. Early turnout was right around the final vote total in 2016, as almost 9 million people voted early. About 4 million of those votes have been reported so far, and Trump has a very slight 17,000 vote lead. Harris County, the largest in the state, covering the Houston metropolitan area, has only just began reporting their results though, which surpassed the total amount of votes cast in 2016. So there certainly is still a lot of Democratic vote left to come in the state of Texas, with over half of the vote left outstanding. Let us take a look though at the updated electoral map. The candidates are now tied at exactly 109 electoral votes each. 270 votes are needed to win the presidency, and just a few states' polls are still open at this point in gray, one of which is California and its 55 electoral votes, closing at that 11 p.m. Eastern Time closing, along with a bunch of other Pacific Coast states. And as you can see in yellow, a lot of states remain too close or too early to call as well. But we have our first major projection coming in right now. Take a look at this. Joe Biden is the projected winner in the state of Virginia. He will carry its 13 electoral votes. This is the first key race we have called, but going into tonight, the Trump campaign had already written off their chances in Virginia, and as you can see, with 87% of the vote reporting, Joe Biden's lead is standing at almost 350,000 votes. Polls in Virginia had Joe Biden leading by around 11 points, and he currently leads by 9.5, which is almost double Clinton's final margin of victory here in 2016. We also have an update out of Florida. Here you get a good look at where things stand on a statewide level in the Sunshine State. Joe Biden's lead has narrowed significantly, with an influx of Republican votes cast today. 84% of the vote is in Florida, and Biden's lead as it stands is a little below 30,000 votes. There are two swing counties that have a history of calling statewide races in the state that we are tracking very closely. The first of which is Pinellas County, the 6th most populated, representing large parts of the Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater metropolitan area. It voted for Donald Trump by 1.1 points in 2016, just 0.1% below his statewide margin. However, when Obama carried the state by less than a percentage point in 2012 against Mitt Romney, he won in Pinellas by 5.5%. But more recently, the county voted for both losing Democratic candidates Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson in the 2018 midterms by over 3 points. So it is safe to say that for Joe Biden to hold on statewide, his lead in Pinellas County cannot go much lower than it is right now at 3.5 points with 88% reporting. The other key county that we are tracking is Duval. Representing the Jacksonville metro area, it tells a similar story. Trump won in 2016 by 1.4 points, just 0.2% higher than his results statewide. But both Democrats, Andrew Gillum and Bill Nelson, won in 2018 again, albeit by lower margins. Looking back at 2012 though, this time Mitt Romney won by 3.6 points. So the county actually shifted to the left, despite the state as a whole shifting to the right. Joe Biden's lead in Duval, granted with less of the vote in so far, is currently higher at 4.7 points. Now, if this holds, it would be a great sign for his campaign. Between these two counties as of right now, there is a 40,000 vote swing between 2016 and 2020, which is especially significant in a state that was decided by just a little over 100,000 votes 4 years ago. We also have a key race alert out of Pennsylvania though, where 36% is now in, and Joe Biden leads by about 100,000 votes. The Biden campaign spent most of their resources in the final weeks before tonight in the state of Pennsylvania, especially focused on driving turnout in urban areas like Philadelphia. A lot of Republican counties are yet to report any results whatsoever though, so if it has not already been said enough, expect Pennsylvania to remain uncalled deep into the night and possibly tomorrow morning. Pennsylvania is also seen by a lot of people as the most likely tipping point state, which means we may not have any idea of who will be our president for the next 4 years for many, many hours. Why don't we take another look though at the updated electoral map off the back of Joe Biden's victory in the state of Virginia. He now has 122 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 109. None of the blue or red states on this map have come as surprises so far, but all of the states still in yellow across the country are bound to give us plenty of those as the night wears on. The next poll closing is coming up at the top of the hour, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We are now just seconds away from the top of the hour and the 10 p.m. poll closing. 4 states are closing, including the key swing states of Nevada and Iowa. But we are going to be able to make a projection as the polls close right now. And EP Official can project that President Donald Trump will carry the state of Utah and its 6 electoral votes. There is no Evan McMullin or another prominent independent candidate making a play for Utah this time around, and so we can call the state for Trump as polls close. But let's go to a key race alert right now. The state of Iowa is too close to call. 6 electoral votes are at stake in Iowa. Just 15% of the estimated vote is in, but Joe Biden has an early 24,000 vote lead from the early vote in thus far. Democrats were turning out at a surprisingly high rate in Iowa, according to mail and early in-person ballot tracking. But like in Ohio, the Trump campaign is very confident that a rush of Republican Election Day ballots will keep Iowa in the red column after the president carried the state by almost 10 points in 2016. In Montana, where the early vote shattered expectations, the race is too early to call. The state of Montana nearly reached 2016's vote total from just mail-in voting, and over 53% of the estimated vote is already reported, but Trump's lead is holding steady at around 12.5 points. 3 electoral votes are at stake in Montana, but the president is looking likely to hold on to the state as expected. And the final state that is too close to call is Nevada, where Biden leads Trump by 45,500 votes. Over half of 2016's vote total in Nevada was cast early, and as you can see, 57% is in right now. Clinton's margin of victory in 2016 was 2.4 points, and the Biden campaign is anticipating to double that number this time around. He leads by 6.7 right now. 6 electoral votes are too close to call in the state of Nevada, but we have a couple of key race projections coming in right now. A major call in the state of Ohio. President Donald Trump will hold the state and its 18 electoral votes in his column. No Republican presidential candidate has ever won the presidency without it, and this is a major call. It was an absolute must-win for his campaign. However, looking at the margins, with 94% reporting, Trump leads by 3.5 points, less than half his 2016 margin of 8.1 points. Now, we do believe that Biden has reached a climax of sorts in Democratic areas, and that is why we could make this call at this point. So expect the president's lead to lengthen a bit when all of the vote is in. We also have a big call in the state of Colorado. This was 2012's tipping point state, and Joe Biden is the projected winner. The former vice president led by double digits throughout the cycle in Colorado, and he has been called as the winner with 72% of the vote reporting statewide. Biden leads Trump by nearly 300,000 votes and over 13 points. As of right now, that is over 3 times Clinton's winning margin here in 2016. And we can take a look at the updated race to 270, where President Donald Trump has retaken the lead by 2 electoral votes over Joe Biden. Polls are still open in just 6 states, but we have no projection in 14 states, some of which we have key race alerts from right now. Out of Arizona, 63% of the vote is reporting, and Joe Biden maintains a pretty strong lead at about 50,000 votes. Notably, he is still treading above 50%, in large part due to much of the Republican Election Day surge yet to be reported. But when analyzing the state of Arizona, all eyes are on Maricopa County, which holds over half of the state's entire population. It is also the fastest growing county in the country and is more populous than 23 states. So with that being said, it holds the key to every statewide election in the state of Arizona. Trump carried it by 2.9 points in his victory in 2016, but Democratic Senate candidate Kyrsten Sinema flipped the county, winning it by 4.2 points en route to a victory in the 2018 midterms. 57% of the estimated vote is in out of Maricopa, and Biden's lead is just above Sinema at 4.3 points. This is quite possibly the greatest piece of news the Biden headquarters has received all night, because ultimately if his lead there holds above 4 points, President Trump has little to no path in the rest of the state. We also have an update out of Michigan, where a little under half of the vote is in, but take a look at where Joe Biden is at right now. He leads Trump by over 7 points and 177,000 votes. There was a lot of talk going into tonight about independent voters being the key in Michigan and breaking in Biden's direction after they went to Trump by 16 points in 2016. Registered Democrats outnumber Republicans in Michigan by a relatively wide margin for a swing state, so that independent vote could very well be why Biden was polling so far ahead and why he leads by as much as he is right now. As for Wisconsin, it is still very early on in the counting process, but Biden has taken a 1.8 point lead with 28% of the vote reporting. As you can see, many counties across the state are yet to report any results, so we will check back in later. And finally, in Texas, President Trump's lead has extended out to over 200,000 votes with 69% reporting. It is certainly beginning to look like Biden's outside chance of flipping Texas is becoming less and less of a reality, although a 3 to 5 point loss would still be an impressive feat compared to a 9-point loss for Hillary Clinton 4 years ago. But ultimately that will all depend on turnout, and coming in right now we have another key race projection. Take a look at this. Joe Biden is projected to win 3 out of 4 electoral votes in Maine. He wins the statewide at-large race and in Maine's 1st congressional district. The 2nd district, as expected, is still too close to call, but these 3 electoral votes are added to Joe Biden's tally. And we have another call, this time in Montana, where Donald Trump is now projected to carry the state's 3 electoral votes. Neither of these calls come as a surprise, but let us take a look at how things stand in the updated electoral map. Both candidates have tacked on 3 more electoral votes to put President Trump at 136 overall, compared to Joe Biden's 134. We have no projection in just 12 states now, but we are ticking closer and closer to the top of the hour and another batch of poll closings. We are now just moments away from the final major poll closing of the night at 11 p.m. in 5 western states, including California with its mighty 55 electoral votes. And we are able to make some projections in all of these states right now. Out of the state of California, Joe Biden is the projected winner. He will carry all 55 electoral votes in the most populous state in the country. This is a huge win for Joe Biden's electoral count. He will also carry the state of Hawaii. 4 electoral votes go to the Biden column there. And in Oregon, Joe Biden is the projected winner. He will carry 7 electoral votes in Oregon. He is the projected winner there. In Washington state, 12 electoral votes. Joe Biden is the projected winner in the state of Washington. Joe Biden has picked up all of those states. President Donald Trump also has a projection, though. He will win in Idaho with its 4 electoral votes that are added to his count. And let's take an updated look at what all of this means for the race to 270. Joe Biden has now eclipsed 200 electoral votes, skyrocketing to 212, while Donald Trump has fallen way behind at 140 in the race to 270. Polling stations have now closed everywhere except for Alaska, and we anticipate making a number of major projections in the next few hours. But we have a key race alert right now. Let us take a look at the race in Georgia for the first time. 16 electoral votes in Georgia. Donald Trump has led all night, but things are starting to tighten now with 96% of the vote reporting. This comes after a recent influx of votes came in from the Atlanta suburbs, where Biden is outperforming Hillary Clinton significantly. Trump's lead stands at 80,000 votes statewide. He won by a little over 200,000 in 2016, so it is certainly going down to the wire, with not a lot of the vote left outstanding. We also have an update out of the state of Iowa, where Trump leads Biden by 3.2 points and 38,000 votes, with 70% of the vote in. A victory is expected in Iowa for the president, but this lead with almost a third of the vote outstanding, and most of that expected to come from today, is a great sign for his campaign. We have also been keeping a very close eye on Florida all night long, and President Trump has just taken the lead for the very first time. It took a while, but today's Republican voting surge has finally helped Trump make up that early voting deficit, with 95% of the estimated vote now reporting. He currently leads Biden by just 0.1% and a mere 12,000 votes. Both campaigns remain openly bullish about their chances though, so expect this one to go down to the wire. North Carolina is another state that is currently neck and neck, but Joe Biden still holds a very slight 8,000 vote lead. 90% of the vote is reporting statewide, and Trump's path to victory is virtually non-existent without North Carolina or Florida. But if you think those two states are going to take a while to call, the state of Pennsylvania has reported just a little over half of its estimated vote count after closing its polling stations all the way back at 8 p.m. Former Vice President Joe Biden still leads by 2.6 points and 80,000 votes statewide. With Trump wins looking more likely in the previous two states, there is relatively little room for error in the Rust Belt for the Democratic nominee. Now, although a lot of votes are left outstanding in Philadelphia, we do have almost all of the vote in from Bucks County, covering the northern Philadelphia suburbs. This is a long-standing swing county that voted to the right of Barack Obama in 2012, but Hillary Clinton carried it by 0.8 points despite losing in 2016. Biden leads here by 4.3 points with 98% of the vote reporting. That is huge news for his campaign, and it shows that their efforts in the area have paid off astronomically. This county alone could indicate in itself that he is vastly overperforming Hillary Clinton, which he realistically does not need to do by a whole lot, given how close things were in 2016. But we have a major projection coming in right now. EP official can project that Donald Trump will carry the state of Texas. 38 electoral votes go to the president's vote tally. Democratic state officials had propped up their chances here based on the incredible early vote totals. But ultimately, it was not enough to overcome the Republican edge in the state. As you can see here, with 92% of the vote reporting, Trump leads by almost 450,000 votes, and a little below 5 percentage points. However, this is, similarly to Ohio, right around half of Trump's margin of victory in 2016. Another sign that the former vice president is overperforming Hillary Clinton in almost all swing states. Donald Trump receives a huge boost though in the race to 270, climbing up to 178 electoral votes, but he still trails Joe Biden by quite a bit. 11 states remain too close to call, but let us take a look again at the national popular vote, where Biden leads by almost 5 million votes as of right now and 5.3 percentage points. He is still running a few points behind the national polling average, but depending on who you talk to, that was anticipated to some extent. although 5 points was universally considered to be the breaking point, where Trump's chances go from 0 to possible. So we will see how these numbers reflect in the battlegrounds as more calls are made. But speaking of calls, we have two big ones coming in right now. Out of the state of Georgia, we can project that Donald Trump has won and he will carry the state's 16 electoral votes. This is another crucial win for his campaign. He had no path to re-election without Georgia, and he is the projected winner with 98% of the estimated vote in. He currently leads by over 100,000 votes, but his 2.5 point lead is a lot closer than he would have liked it to be, although this is a key hold for his campaign nonetheless. EP official can also project that Joe Biden has won in New Hampshire with its 4 electoral votes, an expected victory but a key one. Hillary Clinton won New Hampshire by just 3,000 votes in 2016, the lowest margin of any state in the entire country. But as things stand right now, with 87% of the vote in, Biden leads by over 6 points and over 40,000 votes. And as a result of these two calls, only 9 states remain too close to call, 5 of which are located in the key geographic area of this and most elections, the Rust Belt. Specifically Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the 3 states that hold the key to Biden's path to victory. In the race to 270 though, Donald Trump continues to narrow the gap. Joe Biden still leads with 216 electoral votes to Trump's 194 electoral votes. The clock has hit midnight on the East Coast, and we are nearing the final poll closing of the 2020 election cycle in Alaska. But first, we have another key race projection to make right now. Joe Biden is the projected winner in Minnesota. He will carry the state's 10 electoral votes. This is a big hold for the Democratic nominee. He needed it, and he got it. As things stand with 94% of the vote in, Joe Biden holds 49.94% to the president's 45.22%. He also leads by 140,000 votes, a full 100,000 higher than Hillary Clinton's margin here in 2016. With that, let us take a look at the updated Electoral College map. With this win in Minnesota, Joe Biden expands his lead over the president. He has now 226 electoral votes to Donald Trump's 194. You need 270 to win the White House, and the operative reflection on the night thus far is that clearly Joe Biden is overperforming Hillary Clinton. We don't know yet how much of that is a result of third-party voters from 4 years ago swinging his way, or whether that's enough to get him over that 270 mark, but his wins in states like Minnesota, Virginia, and New Hampshire have blown Clinton's numbers out of the water, and even his losses in Ohio, Georgia, and Texas were a lot closer, as polls were indicating all cycle long. Still, with 2016 fresh in our minds, there is a long way to go, but we are inching closer to our final poll closing at the top of the hour, 1 a.m. Eastern Time. We are counting down the seconds to our final closing of the night in Alaska. Some polls have indicated a tight race in Alaska, but the Trump campaign has downplayed any possibility of the state flipping. We've got a key race alert coming in right now. It is too early to call in Alaska. With a little over a quarter of the vote reporting, President Trump has a 7,000 vote lead. There are just 3 electoral votes at stake in Alaska, but every vote will count tonight. 8.5 points, that is Trump's lead right now. And we've got some updates out of battleground states, the first of which is Arizona. More good news for Joe Biden in this state. With 90% of the vote reporting, he still leads Donald Trump by over a percentage point. Under like circumstances to Texas, voter turnout has shattered records in Arizona, a state with a history of lower tier turnout. And Joe Biden currently holds about a 30,000 vote lead. It is still very close, but Democratic campaign officials are telling us they are just about ready to run victory laps in the state of Arizona. Another state where Democrats have every reason to be excited is Michigan. The amount of vote reporting has jumped up significantly from when we last checked in here. It is at 79% now, and Joe Biden's lead has only slightly narrowed. He leads with 51.8% of the vote to the president's 46%. The Trump campaign pulled ad buys from Michigan pretty early on in this cycle, signaling they believe the state was all but lost, although there is still a lot of vote outstanding, particularly in Allegan and Ottawa counties, where Trump really ran up the numbers 4 years ago. Keep in mind, this race was decided by just 11,000 votes statewide in 2016. Another race decided by just a few tenths of a percent, the state of Wisconsin, is both too early and way too close to call, as Joe Biden's lead stands right now at 10,000 votes with almost half of the vote reporting. His lead stands at 0.7 points, with 48.6% in his column to Trump's 47.9%. Coincidentally, this is the same lead that Trump defeated Hillary Clinton with when all was said and done 4 years ago, saying that a few counties are still yet to report any results and a large chunk of mail-in ballots have not been counted so far in the Milwaukee area. It's safe to say that it is still very early in the ballot count process in Wisconsin, but we have a major projection to make right now. EP now projects that Joe Biden will carry the state of Nevada, and its 6 electoral votes. Joe Biden wins in Nevada. This comes as no surprise. It is another Clinton 2016 state that Biden has kept in his column. And with 83% of the vote reporting, Joe Biden has 50.1% of the vote to Donald Trump's 46.7%. So he will carry Nevada's 6 electoral votes. That raises his total to 232, which is right on the dot of Hillary Clinton's final 2016 vote total. So it is now official that he has held every Clinton state, and all of the states where we still do not have a projection in yellow went into the Republican column 4 years ago. We are also yet to see any flips thus far, although Biden taking Arizona and Michigan is looking very likely at this stage. Those 2 states would put him at 259 electoral votes, very close to the 270 mark. Still, there is hope at the Trump headquarters in DC, in large part due to the next wave of key race updates coming your way right now. We have some incredible numbers out of the state of Florida. It is shaping up even closer than expected, with 29 absolutely crucial electoral votes at stake for the president, and his lead stands at just under 16,000 votes, with around 98% of the estimated vote in. Each candidate has eclipsed 5 million votes. That is just the 3rd time in American history that this has occurred, and it is the first time outside of the state of California. It is certainly a nail-bitingly close affair, with Donald Trump holding 48.68% of the vote to Joe Biden's 48.54%. That is just a 0.14% gap, with roughly 10.5 million votes cast statewide. Flashbacks to the 2000 election crisis in Florida are certainly in order, but ultimately it will come down to just how much vote is out there for either candidate. So 16,000 votes separate the 2 in Florida, and 20,000 votes separate the 2 in North Carolina. Another 15 essential electoral votes for the incumbent, with about 97% reporting. His lead stands at 0.4%. Both of these races were highly anticipated and expected to go down to the wire, but I don't think anybody saw this coming, as Trump leads by just 36,000 votes in these 2 states combined. Considering the latest tallies in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, these 2 states have become all that much more important for President Trump as well. It is starting to look like he has to sweep all 3 of these states in this update. But as of right now, with 74% reporting in Pennsylvania, Joe Biden's lead holds steady at around 2.5 percentage points. This is more than anything a major warning sign for the Trump campaign given results elsewhere, because if Trump loses in Pennsylvania, he will need to make a miraculous comeback in Michigan and or Arizona. If you're at the Joe Biden headquarters in Philadelphia, though, you know you can live with losses in Florida and North Carolina, as well as Iowa, so long as your lead holds up as they are elsewhere. But we have another projection to make right now. EP official now projects that Donald Trump will carry the state of Alaska with its 3 electoral votes, and with a win here, the president narrows the gap slightly to former Vice President Joe Biden in the race to 270. However, there are now just 7 battleground states still too close to call, and the paths to victory for both Biden and Trump are becoming more clear as a result. Wins in Arizona, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, all 3 of which he leads right now, would secure Joe Biden the presidency, even with losses in Florida, North Carolina, Iowa, and Wisconsin. But we have a major state projection coming in right now. It has looked inevitable for quite some time now, but we can project that Joe Biden will flip the state of Arizona. 11 key electoral votes go into his column from this Sunbelt state. Bill Clinton was the last Democrat to carry it, and that was back in 1996. But going into this cycle, Democrats believed their chances were more favorable than ever to win this state. And with 98% of the vote reporting, Joe Biden is the projected winner as he leads by 25,000 votes and almost a full percentage point. We have been waiting all night to see which of the 2016 Trump states would fall first, and the answer is Arizona. While Donald Trump still trails far behind at 198 electoral votes. 6 states are still too close to call across the country, but we have a significant projection to make in a huge one right now. EP official can now project that President Donald Trump has won in Florida. He will hold on to the state's 29 electoral votes, and the Trump campaign can breathe a huge sigh of relief, as this was truly a must-win at all costs for the incumbent. He has won in his adopted home state with almost all of the vote now reporting by 26,000 votes and 0.25%. There is a good chance that these results will be contested, and a manual recount will occur if the margin stays at or below 0.25%, although it is not likely that Florida will be the tipping point state like it was in 2000. With this apparent victory in Florida, though, President Trump's electoral vote has boosted up to 226, although he still trails Joe Biden, who is at 243. Just 5 states remain now with no projection, and we have a key race alert out of one of those states coming in right now. In Wisconsin, 77% of the vote is reporting, and the former vice president's lead has expanded to 1.5 points. This is more bad news for the president here. His safety net from 4 years ago was already very slim coming into tonight, and polling data was continuously suggesting devastating results across the Rust Belt for the president. Early signs of celebration are certainly starting to kick in Philadelphia at the Biden headquarters, but it may still be a long while before we can make a definitive call. Saying that, we have 2 major projections coming in right now. We can project out of North Carolina that the president will carry the state's 15 electoral votes, another crucial state for him, and another very close one at that. With 99% of the vote reporting, his lead stands at about 0.8% and 34,000 votes. President Trump holds on to North Carolina, but we also have a projection to make for Joe Biden, as EP official can now call that Joe Biden has flipped Nebraska's 2nd congressional district. He receives 1 electoral vote from the very urban Omaha district that has only gone blue in 2008 for Barack Obama. Let us take a look though at what all of this means for the electoral map. Joe Biden's lead stands at just 3 electoral votes now in the race to 270. Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are the 4 states that remain too close to call at this hour. but Joe Biden's lead in the latter three look insurmountable for Donald Trump, and we have two more major projections to make right now. EP official can now project that Joe Biden will win the state of Michigan. This is the second Democratic flip of the night, and 16 electoral votes will go into his column from the state of Michigan. He is the projected winner by a little over 5 percentage points and over 200,000 votes statewide, with 90% of the estimated vote total in. And with his victory in Michigan now official, Joe Biden is now just 10 electoral votes away from the White House. However, we can also project that President Donald Trump will carry the state of Iowa with its 6 electoral votes. This is another hold for the president, and it comes to little surprise. 91% of the vote is in, and he leads by 54,000 votes. Then again, this is a lot closer than things were in 2016, when he pulled off a stunning near 10-point victory. But nevertheless, those 6 electoral votes from Iowa bring his total up to 247. He still trails Biden by 13 electoral votes in the race to 270, and the only thing that the Trump campaign can count on is a miracle comeback in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, where we are still patiently awaiting final results. However, if Joe Biden wins in either of those two states, this race will be over. This is a historic moment, as we at EP Official can now project that Joe Biden has surpassed the 270 electoral votes needed to become the 46th president of the United States. The former U.S. Senator for 36 years representing the state of Delaware and Vice President for 8 years under Barack Obama, Joe Biden, the Democrat at 77 years old, we can project has defeated incumbent Republican President Donald Trump, capping an unprecedented election cycle and a campaign season unlike anything we have ever seen. Barring contestation of the results, Joe Biden is now the president-elect of the United States. We can make this call because we project that he has won in the state of Pennsylvania, carrying 20 electoral votes in his birth state, where his campaign spent more resources than in any other state this entire election cycle. And for the second election in a row, Pennsylvania looks set to become the tipping point state, albeit under much different circumstances. Taking a look at the updated electoral map, Joe Biden has 280 electoral votes. He has passed the 270 threshold needed to secure the victory, and only the state of Wisconsin and Maine's 2nd Congressional District remain too close to call. There is still no sign that President Trump is preparing to concede the race, and the Joe Biden campaign has informed us that they are awaiting more results and keeping an eye on the margins in several states before declaring victory. But according to EP's decision desk, Joe Biden is projected to become the next president of the United States. Take a look at this. We can now project that the state of Wisconsin has been won by Joe Biden. 10 electoral votes will be added to his total, and if it was not already clear, it will be now. The former Vice President Joe Biden should become the 46th President of the United States. EP Official can also project that Maine's 2nd Congressional District will remain in President Trump's column, bringing the final vote tally to 290 electoral votes for Joe Biden to 248 for Donald Trump. Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin were the 4 states to flip in favor of Joe Biden in that order, and that is what has brought him this victory here tonight. But all things considered, this was one of the closest elections in American history, and many states could still be contested by either party. But we are getting word now that Joe Biden has arrived at his campaign's headquarters in Philadelphia and is preparing to make a victory speech. President Trump still has not called Biden to concede this election amid unsubstantiated voter fraud claims. But many Republican politicians have already expressed their congratulations to the apparent president-elect, Joe Biden, over social media. Let us go live now, though, to the Biden campaign celebrations. Okay, everybody, for a number of reasons, I'm going to have to cut this speech short here and replace it with these running graphics of my final vote tally predictions in all 50 states. We will see at the end of this week how well I did, but I sincerely hope you all enjoyed this comprehensive prediction for 2020's election night in America. If you didn't already know, my name is Ryan Guest, and I just wanted to express my thanks to all of you for the support over the last few months. I am so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you, my viewers, and especially my subscribers. If you have not already subscribed, please make sure to do so by hitting that big red subscribe button down below. It would make all of the effort I have put into this channel over the last year, and specifically this video, feel even more worth it. I am going to be taking a bit of a step back for the time being to focus on some other things going on in my life, but that does not mean I will stop uploading videos to this channel covering elections and politics in general. Overall, this election season was a doozy, and I'm so glad you all stuck by me through it all. I guess I will end things though by asking each and every one of you to go vote if you have not already. It is your civic duty to do so, and visit vote.org for any further information you might need. But ultimately, no matter the results of this election, please, please, please do me a favor and check your political bias before criticizing facts. Our divisive and polarized political climate has enabled such hateful rhetoric that is entirely counterproductive to progress. But on a lighter note, I am really excited for hopefully turning the page on a new chapter of American history that is not clouded by all that, no matter the results. Again though, thank you all so much, and as always, tune in next time. EP, out.